Hi everyone, today I'm going to try something different. Today I'm going to share with you my story and the biggest financial mistakes that I've made as a 34-year-old working in banking in Canary Wharf, London, with the hope that by sharing some of these money mistakes, you're able to learn from these significantly quicker than I was to put yourself on a trajectory of financial freedom a lot faster than I. And also, hopefully, to save yourself from a lot of headache, heartache, and nagging from your friends, family, and even your partner. So hopefully you need less paracetamol going forward as well. So to start with, I'm a 34-year-old. I work in banking in Canary Wharf for one of the largest banks in the world. In addition to this, I went to a state school, so I didn't come from a too privileged background. I went to University of Lincoln to do my undergraduate degree, did a business and management studies, and then I saved up and I was lucky enough to go to Imperial College London to do my MBA, which is one of the top 10 universities in the world. In addition to this, having worked in banking, I've also worked in management consultancy for BCG, and I've also worked in fintech for the likes of Revolut. The biggest money mistake that I've ever made was comparing myself to others and then thinking I'm poor as a result. And this is society's fault. You go on social media and you start looking through and you come up with all of these various people that are Bitcoin millionaires, they're driving Lamborghinis, they're all like 18, living in LA and these crazy house parties and so forth. And you start thinking, look, what have I done wrong in life to not be dealt the same hand as those guys? And then you naturally start to compare yourself to the elite, thinking, look, why aren't I like those? What am I doing wrong? But actually, back in the day, before we had social media, you'd only be able to compare yourself to the likes of your local community. So you'd see how big your house was or how happy your neighbour was or whatever your neighbour had. And you'd be able to say, look, I'm doing relatively well compared to my local community. But now, with social media, you're comparing yourself to everyone. And also, this is the way that media portrays things as well. And a good example of this is, if I asked you who was the first person to land on the moon, you'd probably say Neil Armstrong because you probably taught this at school. He's one of the elite astronauts of the world. But when I say to you who was the second person to land on the moon, you may or may not know it's Buzz Aldrin. But when I say to you who is the third person driving the command module, I'm pretty confident that 99.9% of you won't know. And to be honest, I didn't even know. I just had to look it up now. But it's a guy called Michael Collins. And this is a problem with society. You're only getting the media pushing and portraying the elite people, the first to do something or maybe the first and second. Poor Michael Collins, he is an absolute hero, but no one really knows who he is, which is a real shame. And if he compared himself to Neil Armstrong, he'd probably feel pretty inadequate. But I'm sure all of his friends and family look at Michael Collins and say, look, Michael, you're doing well. You compare yourself to yourself. You're one of the first people that's ever done that, and that's pretty impressive. And that's the mindset that I want you to have when it comes to comparing yourself to others, because otherwise you get pretty anxious, you get upset, which is what I used to do. And to put this into perspective for you, working in banking, I have a salary that's over 100k, but on my MBA, I have friends that are earning millions of pounds. So when I'm comparing myself to those guys living in Knightsbridge, in London, and I'm starting to say, look, why can't I afford to go out for dinner with those guys? Why can't I have those cars and so forth? And I start to think, look, I'm really shit. Why can't I afford these things? But then my other friends are looking at me going, wow, Dean's got an MBA. He's like earning good money, works in banking. But I'm putting myself down because I'm comparing myself to those wealthy friends. So I started to do a lot of research onto this as to what the average salary was and what is considered essentially wealthy in the UK. And this actually shocked me. And actually, I felt really bad after looking into this. The average salary in the UK is £28,000. So my salary was nearly 4x that. And I felt like I wasn't earning enough good money. And after, I honestly feel like a complete tool now because I felt like that. But also, 28k is a lot of money to a lot of people. So having that money, and even if you're near there, exceeding it, or close, working on your trajectory to that, feel good about yourself. Because I put myself down for years and it was a terrible thing to do. And then the even more interesting thing was that the average debt in the UK is £34,737, which is more than people's annual salary. And that just blew my mind because I have a lot of debt, or I did have a lot of debt in fact. And that was through my MBA, investing in property and so forth. But I felt I was poor because I was always servicing my debt. And what I quickly realised that actually, although I have a good salary, having that debt is what held me back in life because I was always paying off £1,000 a month into paying down the debt principal. So that is what I started to realise that actually, look, compare yourself to others in a way that's truly fair And don't get yourself down. Everyone's doing really well, so keep fighting that fight. And the biggest lesson I learned here as well is that everyone has different factors that contribute to their wealth and their success. Some people come from money, some people live in good areas, some people are just lucky. Don't put yourself down, because I'm sure you're doing a lot better than the majority of society. And if you're not, keep fighting. You will get there. With hard work, dedication, and drive, you will be able to achieve financial success and be truly happy. And this is part of the thing. This is why I wanted to start this YouTube channel, to help people to understand this. If you find this useful, please like and subscribe, because I think this might be good content for you. The next biggest mistake of my life is chasing the hottest stock at the time. Whether that's meme stocks back in 2021, such as AMC and GameStop, or even crypto back in the crypto boom. And I know crypto's starting to launch again, so just be careful with this and take this on board. But I actually lost about £35,000 investing in the likes of AMC, thinking, look, this is going to keep going. The investment thesis is sound. The market's corrupt, but you can't just chase things, and you can't put all your eggs in one basket, because you can lose a lot of money. And to put this into perspective, look, if Usain Bolt's already sprinting down the track, he's got 5 seconds on you in the 100 meters. There's no point you chasing that guy, because there's no way on earth you're going to win. You're just going to make yourself look stupid. And this is my philosophy when it comes to chasing the biggest meme stocks. Look, if you've got good risk tolerance, if you know how to day trade, maybe try and play a bit of it, but don't put all of your eggs in one basket, and definitely don't chase the next big crypto boom. And don't get me wrong, I am a fan of crypto, I've got a small holding, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, and it's something that I'm prepared to hold on for a long term. I actually sold out a lot of my ETFs to invest in AMC, because I thought this was going to make me millions, and it didn't. So lesson learned for you there, don't chase the biggest next thing, and also have good risk tolerance. The third biggest money mistake that I've made is thinking you've got to buy everything in a rush and immediately. This leads to impulse purchases and not getting the best deal, and also often buying stuff that you don't actually need or isn't suitable. A really good example of this is when I actually came back from my first ski trip. I was terrible. I couldn't even get down a green run. Yeah, I came back, I went past a shop, and I saw that they had these nice shiny skis in the sale. And they were like £700 down to 300, so I thought, wow, these are an absolute bargain. I can save all of this money by buying these skis and not renting them when I go ahead again. What I didn't realise is, because I made that stupid impulse purchase, I'd actually bought expert skis. So when I first tried to ski those things, I'd end up going backwards down the slope, almost falling off the mountain and so forth. It looked like a complete tool. So I quickly learned that actually you've got to research things, you've got to pause, you've got to really make sure you're getting the right thing for you. Don't just have impulse purchase just because it looks like a good deal, because often you will mess up like I did. And also, a good way to prevent this is actually to have like a 24-hour pause rule. So you see a good deal on the internet, like maybe a new camera, maybe a new car, and you think, look, I want to buy that. But if you rush and spend a lot of money, I'm sure you can quickly regret that when you find a cheaper deal somewhere else. So what I've actually implemented is a 24-hour pause rule. So when you are starting to look into things and you say, oh, look, I want to buy the latest iPhone or the new camera, pause for 24 hours. Say, look, I've got it, put it in your basket, and then just hold fire. And if you still want that item the next day at the same time, feel free to buy it. But I'm sure you'll save yourself a lot of money by doing this. The fourth biggest mistake that I've made is actually pulling my money out of ETFs, which are considered a relatively safe investment vehicle, and missing out on compound interest. And again, this goes back to the days of AMC when I was trying to chase all of those gains. I thought, look, I want to be fully leveraged on the next big thing. I don't want a diversified portfolio, because that's for dummies that don't want to make much money. In reality, I wish I'd done that, because my money would be significantly better off right now. So to put this into perspective, I want to talk you through how compound interest works. And by pulling your money out of an ETF with a good compound interest of 10.13%, I've potentially lost out on millions of pounds throughout my life. I just want to show you how compound interest works in a way that will get you to keep your money in those things and don't take them out, because the opportunity cost of doing so is too great. So let me share my screen. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk you through how a 500 initial investment with an interest rate of 10.13% per year, which is the average growth rate of the S&P 500 over the long term, with a 30-year horizon and a 500 a month monthly save, can actually end up creating you 1.17 million in assets over a 30-year period, with a total interest gained of nearly £1 million. How incredible is that? So look, next time you're tempted to take your money out of an ETF, don't. Keep it in there, have the power of compound interest, and just make money. And The best way to do this is only invest money you can afford. So whether that's £50 a month or whether that's £250, £500, do what you need to do, but make sure you're comfortable investing that money and being able to leave it there for the long term. Because with stocks and shares, they can go up and down. And also, I'd suggest investing regularly per month, so once a month, to keep it consistent. So you're buying at the top and you're buying at the bottom, and you're smoothing out that, so you're not just getting all of the top and bottom and potentially losing money. So the next biggest financial mistake I've made is not budgeting well and not living within your means, and even worse, spending money before you actually have it. Throughout my time, I've actually thought, look, I'm going to be getting big bonuses. And back at when I was at Barclays, I thought I was going to be getting a 10 grand bonus. I got a 3 grand bonus. That really screwed me over because I'd already spent all of that money on new things like garden furniture, things for the house and so forth. So when that money didn't come in, I wasn't able to pay down my debt in a way that I thought I could, which was tragic, really. I had to sell various things and yeah, it was a nightmare. But let's not go into that. But by having a budget, you can set aside and understand what your monthly costs are, set them aside, try and reduce them if you deem appropriate, but also not spend out of control and have a sustainable lifestyle. If you budget well, you pay yourself first, you pay down your debts, whatever, and then also invest, feel free to spend the rest of the money on things that you enjoy, such as going on holiday, days out, going to cinema, etc. But please, pay your dues first. Pay your rent, invest in a regular savings account and whatever, just to make sure that you're not building up debt in a way that I was. The next thing, and this is similar to this as well, is taking on the maximum amount of loans available to you. And in particular, I was really bad at this as a student. So I went to University of Lincoln, as I say, and I was offered like 30 grand. And as a student, 18 years old, I'd never seen that much money in my life. So when they said, look, do you want 30 grand? I was like, yeah, I'll have it all, please. And every few months, I got another £3,000 coming into my account. I was like, boom, 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 just spend it. Going to Nando's every night, getting bottle service in the club, you name it, I was doing it, buying all these fancy clothes. And I thought, look, this is free money, but it wasn't. I tell you what, it took me about 10 years to pay that off with some stupid interest. And the interest rate right now is about 7%, which is incredible. So they were very expensive bottles of champagne and vodka in the club. So yeah, don't do it. And also only take on loans if it's for something that's appreciative. So I have no problem with leveraging debt for things such as making your property worth more money, buying an asset, for example, a nice watch that's going to go up in value, or even gold. But what I do have a problem with is borrowing money to buy something that's a depreciating asset. And cars are the worst thing for this. Obviously, we know people need cars to get to work, but do you really need the latest Porsche on a stupid interest rate that's just going to be going down in value? Because that is a surefire way to lose money pretty fast. So think about that. And to this point as well, when I was 17, I bought a brand new car. It was a Ford Focus, and at the time, it's pretty nice. I thought, look, I'm going to get all of the girls, my friends are going to love me, I'm going to be an absolute boy. What actually happened was I ended up having to work at Morrison's almost like 10 hours a week just to afford the basic payments on my car, whilst all of my friends were spending all of their time and money just going to the park, going to the pubs and whatever, having a good time. Whereas I was having to work in my spare time whilst doing sixth form just to pay for the car. And the worst thing about it was that car was depreciating in value, but also my friends were just using me for lifts. They wouldn't give me petrol, but they'd ask me to go everywhere, and I just became really frustrated. The worst thing is I don't think I even got any girls as a result of having that nice car. So don't waste your money on things, and if you are buying cars, make sure it's a small percentage of your income, and it's something that's affordable, because otherwise you're just going to look like a fool like I did. And finally, and this one's probably a really important one as well, because if you aren't doing this, you can quickly put yourself into a lot of debt. And this is not having an emergency fund and also not saving regularly. If you don't have an emergency fund, when things such as your car go wrong, your boiler, etc., you may have to take on a loan to pay for that. And that can quickly become quite expensive. In the past, where a lot of my friends didn't have any money saved, they would spend all of their salary on nice clothes, going out, holidays, etc. So when they had issues, they had to take on emergency loans. So I don't remember if you remember things like Wonga and all of those payday loans, but they had to take those on. And they were ridiculous fees. And a few of my friends actually ended up losing assets as a result of that. And I really don't want you to go down that path. So please, save money regularly into an emergency pot. Pay yourself first. When you get paid your salary, put £100 into that pot and just make sure you build it up, because that will really help you. So hopefully these 8 lessons learned that I've made in terms of money mistakes can help you. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you found this useful, please obviously like and subscribe. Please share with your friends. I'm going to try and be doing more authentic content in this way, that I'm giving you my lessons learned as someone not scripted. Let us know what you think, and hopefully see you again on this channel soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.